Hi team, from this video tutorial we'll learn what is the defect and also we'll know few guidelines how to create a defect, few example with the severity and priority and defect life cycle and defect template. So before moving forward, we have to know what is the defect first. So in general, we consider a defect in the system if we found any unexpected mismatch rather than what was our expectation. So any kind of application or software is developed based on the user requirements and business rule. A programmer, while designing and building the software, there can be a mistake or error. These mistakes become a fault in the software and these are called defects. So during test execution, if actual result deviates from the expected result, tester will raise the defect. So simple. So here is an example I can show here. For example, this is Yahoo sign off phase. So there is a rule. So if user try to attempts on with the continue button without any other information, it should display error message, please enter or fill up the form in. But this is just we are thinking the requirement, but we'll get some other error instead of whole. Here I'm expecting error message, but if I'm getting error message in each field, that means it's a defect. So okay, if I click on continue and see, it is getting the error here, but it is the standard according to the Yahoo business rule or requirement that they are expecting message in every text field, but I am expecting in here. So that means in my view it is now error. So that there is a guideline to create a defect we have to follow, so then easily developer can fix. So this is the very important because software defects are expensive and defect management process that focus prevents the defect and catching the defects early in the process, and each and every testing phase we should catch the defect and log it to the defect tools so that developer or test lead can see and they can assign to the that specific functional who is an expert so they can that initiate that fix. So this is the actually in the real time we are doing. So let's discuss about some like before logging any defect. As a tester we have to make sure we are following the correct guideline to raise a defect. So let's discuss the what is the correct incident priority. So we have to make sure, as you know, it is the priority and severity, it is defined by based on the project how they want, and so that we have to definitely follow, and that means make sure the correct incident priority based on the impact area. So then we have to write down the clear steps. So description of the defect, steps, what is the actual result and what is the expected result. And if you know some business rule or like some requirement, you can specify here. And also like necessary screenshot we have to keep there, otherwise it will be like it will be clear to the developer what in which area is really impacted, so it will be easy to figure it out and escalate that issue quickly and to just quick fix. So and also test case and defect should be mapped properly. Otherwise, we in fact will be in trouble when we'll do like retest that defect. And as I told, we have to add a requirement ID and also business rule ID, if you know, because normally most of the requirement in different tool are requisite for, or like ALM, some other tool. So if we can specify that ID, it should be easy to trace. And also once it's fixed, we have to close the defect with the same steps while we are just like creating the defect, and like mention that steps, we have to follow same steps. Otherwise it will raise another issue, and then it will be another problem. So we should stick with the same steps. And it is actually also I'm telling based on that project, how they want and everything, what is the how they define those. And as you see here, another example I have, like for example real time example here, when I'm adding all information and getting database connection not yet established. So I'm adding all information, clicking on a submit button and getting this. So I will create a defect based on that. So what is the priority should be? So based on this, we have to uh, mention like priority and severity of the defect. So let's discuss, and you can take an example for an ATM machine, and in that way we can clarify a few example for uh, how we can specify the priority and severity. For example, here high priority and high severity and high priority. So ATM not printing transaction receipt, getting system exception. For example, I perform a transaction on the ATM and I'm expecting one receipt. So instead of getting received, I'm there is a question: how do you want to receive? How you want email or so? Suppose if I press any button, I'm getting system exception. So definitely it should be high severity and high priority. An example of high severity and low priority. So for example, transaction received providing no system exception. There is no system exception, but the information is wrong. In that case, it should be severity, high severity, but low priority, because user can able to perform their transaction without any interruption. So this one can be fixed later, next build, so it will not be any issue. And it is issue, I'm sorry, that means it is not a high priority. So another example here, low severity and high priority. For example, in home page, when I'm logging to the like ATM machine, I'm expecting my name correctly. So there is a requirement. So but in the home page, customer name or is a typo, so wrong one. For example, John, the customer, he is like ZHN. For example, his name is like that, but that is a typo, Zevani. So in that case, the customer will be offended to see the wrong name. So in that case, and it should be severity is low and but priority is high. And another example, low severity and low priority. So if any other page title or like is not italic, bold or something according to we document, so it could be fixed any some other next build anytime. So it should be low priority and low severity. So let's discuss some about the defect life cycle. As you see here, how defect. So once I get the defect, what I have to do? I have to do just this is the first. It should be as a new, like during test execution when we detect a defect and post as a new status and assign to it to developer. So new, it should be new, then I will assign it to the developer. So and this is the very important thing, and we have to know, like sometimes this assignment come through the trials. So that is we have to discuss a little bit what is the trials here. And actually trials is one meeting, like defect review meeting, development lead, test manager, business analysis, test lead, and tester also attending that meeting. Actually, sometimes tester raise the defect, it is not valid, or like there may, and also who to know who know very well in which functional area he knows very well. Based on that, so reviewing all defects, including the rejected defects by the team, initial assessment of the defects, and so also prioritize the defect based on the inputs and assign the defects as I told, maybe assign will be decided from in the trials meeting. So and also redirect the defects to the correct owner. So those are like activities performed in that trials meeting. As I said, say from here, then some of them defect can be reset or could be duplicate, and then it could be deferred. So those things are, so straight is like there is a straightforward process is then it is going to the like tries then reassign the defect, then it will be in the open status. So suppose I when I keep the tested kit that it is an assign, so the specific or whatever the I know, like this functional area, like printing form, there is another one developer I know he's developing this, and I direct assign to him. But the trials meeting, it is again redirect the process. Maybe they will assign to somebody who can do the quick fix based on the priority and severity. So then it is goes to for offline status, and so sometime there is a duplicate defect. So reassign, we have to understand what is the reassign. Based on the defect level, team will decide to whom can be reassigned the defect, and also open when a defect accepted by the developer, then and it's moved to the open status. So rejected if developer when as you see the rejected when developer defect is rejected by the developer and tries team member, it is moved to the rejected status, and tester will close the defect with proper explanation. So that is the important. And a duplicate also is there. So if they found something now that this defect, if defect is similar to the other defect, and tries team member will or developer will as the status set the status to duplicate, and tester will be responsible to close that duplicate defect in his bucket with the appropriate comments. So this is the actually in the real time we are actually doing this is based on the actually, again I'm saying this can be defined based on the project size and project how they want. So and also deferred, there is if defect will not fix in next release or not able to fix within the scope, trials team member will set status as a deferred. So these are the thing very important to know. And also there is a thing clarification needed if developer or tries team member confused or they need to know more detail about the defect, then they will change the status to the to clarification needed, or will assign back to the tester. And still, once a developer, sorry, tester will see and review the defect, and he found that it is really defect, and then he will provide the information and send it back to the developer and saying that a clarification provided, and or if seeing that there is no uh, still actually found that it is not a defect, then he can tester will fix all defect and this, and he can close that defect after providing the comment. And there is a like fix system. Developer will analyze the all defect and debug the defect. If defect working fine as expected, developer will change the status fix, and tester will pick fix defect in his bucket what he raised. Then he will, if it is work, he will close the defect tester, or and during the retest the defect, and say if it is pass, and then if it is no, then tester will reopen the defect, and if it is pass, then tester will close the defect. So there is a like some say, as you see, if clarification provided, no, that means there is no thing in to provide, then direct close the tester will close the defect. So this is all about the defect life cycle. And here is I'll discuss little bit about something, what is that defect template. So some most of the organization now they're using defect tool, defect tracking tool. There is a ALM, application lifecycle management system. Then another is the IBM tool, some other to open source tool also there. So defect ID, defect ID, defect is automated created by generated by ID by the system, like defect tracking tool will generate defect tracking tool will generate this ID. So actually, I'll not go through each and everything, but I'll go through like this is the project. For example, this is I'm considering as a ID like MJZ001, and this is project is empty apps. Then project is actually name will set up by default, and this is the component. For example, which component specify the component name. For example, ATM money transaction, money transfer, we are getting the error. So we have to specify that component, and also specify a specific version where the defect was detected. We have to, this is very important, we have to mention the version. For example, I got 3.5 version, I got that defect. So then testing phase, in whose testing phase I got that defect. For example, there is a smoke test or a functional test or some other test is going on, and or also regression test. So that I will specify here, for example, in functional test. So then I have to write down the summary, what like what is the defect, and what, for example, I am just writing here ATM not printing. This one is our we can consider as a summary. So now, because summary should be small, and then description will write down in detail and defect need to be specified in this section, like detailed description as I said. Then test, then the steps, step by step, like description of the defect. Then it will be easier to replicate the defect and number of the steps, for example log into the system, like those steps we have to mention. And what was the actual result I was getting, so I'm getting the same actual result here. And what was my expected result, so I should navigate to the next. Once instead of like once it is printing the receipt, and should print the receipt and log out from the system, like that we are expecting. So that what is the expected we have to specify here, and what is the attachment we want to include, and that we have to attach that, and remarks if any additional comments on the defect, and severity, the defect severity and defect priority we have to mention. As we have that priority and severity, we can go back there and we can check. And also there is a reported by, so it is automatically detected, though I open this, it should be my name, for example my name is there, like that server, and it should be like that. So then to whom I'm assigning John. So then what is the status, so when I'm assigning this defect, it should be new. So that is the defect status. So defect template we are following during the defect creating. So I hope it will be helpful who are working and who are new into the testing team. And thanks for watching.